Hello! Today we will be learning 3 basic hand stitches. To illustrate these stitches, I will be using pegboard and yarn. To begin, make sure that you have a knot in one end of your yarn. We will begin with the running stitch. Start by bringing your thread up from the bottom. This side is the bottom, this side is the top. Pull it all the way through until your knot catches. From there, go down in the very next hole, like so. Then come up in the next hole and continue like this until you've reached the end of this row. This is the running stitch. This stitch is good for holding together 2 pieces of fabric temporarily. It's not a permanent stitch. It won't hold things together forever. It's like a basting stitch, you could say. So that is an example of the running stitch, as seen here. Okay. Next we will be looking at the whip stitch, also known as the overcast stitch. This stitch is used to finish off the edges of fabric or to join 2 pieces of fabric together. To perform this stitch, you bring your thread up from the back, just as we did with the running stitch, and then you make sure that the knot is on the wrong side of the fabric, and then you bring the thread up through the very next hole, and you pull it tight, and you continue doing that, creating this sort of wrapping pattern on the outside of the fabric. You can continue this until you reach the end of the board. This is the whip stitch. The last stitch we will be learning is the back stitch. This is a permanent stitch used to hold 2 or more pieces of fabric together. To begin this stitch, you do just what you would with the running stitch. You bring your thread up through the back of the fabric, making sure that the knot is on the wrong side, and you go down through the very first hole, and then you pull tight, and just as you would with the running stitch, you come up in the very next hole. But instead of going forward, as you would with the running stitch, you go back, thus the name back stitch. So you pull it back, and then you come up 2 holes over, and you repeat that process, going back to the previous hole, pulling through, skipping the next hole to the one just past that, and you continue this, and this is the back stitch. Now that you understand the basic 3 hand stitches, you are prepared to sew on real fabric.